Hi, Mac.
Hi.
Hello, Patricia.
Hello.
Remember Sean?
Yeah. Well, you got that thing on.
Yes. How you doing, Mac?
Oh, fine.
Granny sleeping?
You?
You hide underneath his visor.
So, we gonna go fishing today?
Gonna try.
Oh, good. Good, good. How's business been this morning?
Slow.
Oh, yeah?
I was making some weights.
Some what?
Some of those weights.
Oh, making up weights, yeah.
Just a few.
You melt the lead down and make them?
Just a few, not many. You can't buy those kind anymore.
Arsenal candy.
Look at the pink one.
I know. It's cool. They like those. Whoa, whoa, the vibrations. You touch this one. Whoa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Why did we get what's it called?
The man said you have to wait later in the season for the fruit coming. Just wait.
I don't just, oh,
Your Uncle Rich uses.
Wait on bucktail. Can I get a license, fishing license?
In-state, out-of-stater.
In state.
Got something to copy from?
I got an old one. Let me grab it.
No, we've been selling those for, what, 5 or 6 years. But we don't make a cent on them.
What's the license?
Blue's right here. Let's go help him. Look, he's taking pictures of you.
No, I'm taking pictures of him.
It's a good trick.
What do you want?
I get some sand nails. Do we have any ice?
No ice.
Oh,
That's the big question.
Not at
today.
all. Not even a handful. The sand nails frozen? I hope.
we didn't have. Well, not very much.
And do you have 2 sizes? The reason I say that, my son came back with large ones in one pack and small ones in the other. And the large ones were great. The small ones were a problem.
It should be days old. Just before the blow.
Yeah, I'm sure nobody's getting any.
Dad! Dad! What's the price of the vacuum frozen?
Is that okay? Do you have 2 sizes or just one? The other day my son picked some up some of this size and then the other bag was this size. Just at random? I think it's 2 packages. So, this nothing. Nothing.
That may be a little better size, I don't know.
Yeah, look at it. $5, right? Is it tax?
some significance behind this filming, or?
No. Mac and I are old friends.
Have a good day, guys.
Well, Mac, you wanted little ones and big ones.
Yeah. You got both.
The first question I want to ask you is, most people think when they come in here and they meet you and that they've heard of you, they assume that you're a Cape Codder, right?
Yeah.
And that's not true. You're from Vermont originally.
Woodstock, Vermont.
Woodstock, Vermont? So
Really South Woodstock. On my grandmother's farm I was born. On my mother's side.
how old were you when you moved to Cape Cod?
It was in 1909, I was 7.
Uh-huh. And you moved right to where, Brewster?
West Brewster.
Do you know why they chose Cape Cod, or why they chose to move
Yeah.
to Brewster?
My mother's sister married a man by Edwin B. Ellis. And he working, they're both working in the White Mountains, and they got acquainted and got married, and he moved back to Cape with her.
Oh.
And my mother, she wrote my mother a letter saying that it's such a nice place, you better come down here on Cape Cod. So they moved down. The first year they kept house for Azarias Cahoon, an old sea captain. And the next year they bought the place from Mrs. Bassett, almost next door, for $1,200.
Would that be anywhere near where the Bassett Ice House is now? Is it in that area?
You know where the museum is with the windmill?
Oh yeah, the windmill?
Yeah. He owned both sides of the road there, 51 or 2 acres.
How would they have gotten to Cape Cod then? By train?
That's right.
Hmm.
The train went clear to Provincetown.
So you really grew up in Brewster
Yeah.
as a boy.
I played around the old mill where they used to grind corn.
Except it was a real mill. It was an operating mill.
Yeah.
You were there.
And this Henry Ellis, not Henry, Frank Ellis. Yeah, when I was a boy, I was playing with his grandson, Lloyd Ellis. And come dinner time, they invited me in, and he ground some white corn into flour, and he made muffins than Mrs. Ellis did. I never tasted any better muffins in my life. They were delicious. Lloyd Ellis, his father was Hudson Ellis. And he used to pick cranberries for my father, too.
So your father was he was a farmer?
That's right.
And he had cranberry bogs?
Not at first, but he got into it after quite a few years.
What was your father's name and your mother's name? What were their names?
Alfred Reed and Grace Reed.
So there was you. Are you the oldest?
Yes, oldest of 5.
And who was next?
My brother Earl.
Earl.
And then came,
Grace?
no,
Lottie?
no,
Vera?
Vera.
Oh, okay.
And then came Grace, and then Audie last.
So Lottie's the baby of the family.
Yeah. He's almost 21 years younger than I am.
Wow. That's a long span. So when you grew up on the farm then, basically.
more or less. My father used to go out to work with 10 cents an hour or $1 a day. If he worked his horse, he got $2, and that he thought he was getting rich.
They work in the horses.
I went down to Paynes Creek, and the mouth of Paynes Creek, I dug 2 barrels of clams. I wasn't over 13 or 14 years old. I got $4 for the 2 barrels. And when my father see that, he said, "Gee, you work 2-3 hours and get $4. Here I have to work all day for $1."
So did you continue doing a lot of clamming and?
I more or less did, yeah.
Where did you go to school?
In what is now the old, what you call it, plastic factory.
Oh, right on 6A.
Right on 6A, yeah.
Was that the elementary school and the high school?
They, there was 4 rooms. One room had the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, and then they had the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then the other one was the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
When school got out in the summer, what did you used to do during the summer here?
Oh, just play around fishing and like that.
Go over to the Brewster Mill and, oh no, go over in the spring to the Brewster Mill and tease the heron, right?
Yeah.
Were the herring running just as strong back then at that Brewster Mill?
I actually think more so. There was what was his name? Saltfish Baker, they called him. And he had the fishing rights. 4 days, he could take the heron and put them in barrels and salted them. And three days, you had to let them go. And I've seen him get 100 barrels of heron in 1 day.
Right out of that Brewster run. Wow. Now,
and the salt heron he shipped to the West Indies, and they fed the livestock with salt heron.
Oh. They'd ship it to Boston, and then it would go out of Boston to the West Indies?
I don't know how it went. It went by boat them days.
Yeah. Now, did all the townspeople or the people that were interested would go to that herring run and collect the herring and then take them home and cook them or dry them?
Yeah. They smoked corned herring. They used to put them in a brine for 24 hours or something like that, and then they take these sticks they made and they string a dozen on a stick and go around and sell corned herring or smoked herring.
Were there any restrictions, or could people just go and help themselves?
It's nothing like it is today. They could take what they wanted.
Yeah. So that was a good source of food for the people then.
Yeah. And a lot of them used to cut the roe out, the female roe out, and they'd fry it in a skillet, and that was good too.
So your fishing career started real early then, right? Your fishing career started really early when you were young.
Yeah, well, my mother didn't want me to fish. So
why not?
She's I guess afraid I'd fall in and get drowned or something. Well, I used to say I had to stay after school. I didn't say what for. And I'd fit the pond, the schoolhouse ponds across the street. Used to fish the pond after school. I used to go up to the old mill, and while the overflow come down through, there used to be quite a lot of fish in the laid up the old dam that run the mill, laid up with stone with no cement. You reach your hand in the underwater and you can feel the fish in there.
Wow.
And one day I says, gee, I ain't not fishing, I'm catching with my hands. So I says, I'm going to take some home. When I got home, my mother said, I know you're fishing now. I says, I caught him with my hands. See, I don't believe that, she said. Well, I said, you don't have to call me a liar. So my father, next Sunday, says, let's go up the brook and see how you catch these fish with your hands. Well, went up, I jumped in the brook with water about to my knees. I says, what do you want? 1 pound perch or eel? Let's see you catch a perch, he says. Well, I had a half a dozen of them on the bank before he knew it. Probably caught him 40 times. Now he says, let's see you catch a bullhead. Well, I reached in, they all headed out. They don't go in, they wouldn't be tail first, they'd be head first. I slide my hands underneath the belly, and the one fawn would go by here and the other one there, and I just throw them out on the banking. Well, they said, now I want to see you catch an eel. I had some of them out of them, but I didn't grip them, I juggled them. If they go to squirm, I'd throw them off balance and just throw them ashore. Well, fellow says, we got a good mess of fish, we might as well go home now. I don't know what the conversation was going back. It's a half a mile over the hills. I can see him now. He opened the door and he says, there, old lady. He had the bucket and said, you can catch more in the hands than you can with a hook and line. And she used to watch me in this barn, and I'd be playing with my brother, and then when all of a sudden I'd run back of that barn and I'd head right down towards the Paynes Creek. It'd run down by Betty's curve. I could hear her hollering, but I pretended I didn't hear her. I was gone.
So when you were catching them with your hands, where were you hiding your fishing pole? You must have had a fishing pole someplace.
I just laid them in the bushes, that's all. Them days, a nickel or a dime, you could buy some hooks and line and stuff. And now I used to go in the swamp and get the big, tallest, slenderest pole I could find. And I just put lines. We didn't have no reels them days.
What would you do with the fish?
I just catch them, and I caught one big bass. It must have been, it must have been 7 or 8 pounds, largemouth, in Schoolhouse Pond. And I said, well, I'd go and take that home. So I give it to the janitor of the school. Well, we didn't bother to weigh it till he had it all clean, ready to put in the oven. It weighed 3.5 pounds then.
Wow.
So it must have been close to 7. Because they got an awful big head on them.
So you were hooked on fishing from an early age.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have you done much saltwater fishing?
Well, I did quite a little until about it must be 10 or 15, close to 15 years. I've been in on for years there. I fished every night, worked all night. Franny will tell you more, as much as we went 4 or 5 nights, and we didn't seem so the nights was very long. First thing I said to Franny, my God, it's coming daylight. We get about 2 hours sleep.
You'd be fishing off the beach then? Or
fishing, you might be fishing now over to Brewster Creek. We fished a lot off Paynes Creek on the flats. We go out with the tide and come in with the tide.
what would you catch there?
Striped bass.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be tough to do now, wouldn't it? I mean, there's not that many bass, although they're coming back.
Yeah,
There's not that
I
many.
think there's more now, right now, than there ever was.
Is that right?
There's more big bass, too. We used to average about 8 to 10 pounds fish. I caught in a dory off breakwater landing one night, probably a half mile offshore. I caught 40. They weighed 418 pounds. So you can see the average about 10.
Do you remember as many bluefish then, or would it come in cycles? You'd have bluefish for a few years and then bass, or how did it work?
I've never seen a bluefish stay so long. They used to be here 3-4 years and they're gone. Then for perhaps 5 or 10 years they come back again.
You never had a commercial boat out of Rock Harbor. You never fished that way, did you?
I dragged cohogs one couple seasons out of Brewster.
Mm-hmm.
I had this Alfred Nickerson, a friend of mine, he and I bought a boat for $800. It was a Jersey Sea Skip, a 32-footer. We dragged quite a few cohogs with it.
When would that have been? Around in the 30s, maybe?
Yes, I guess it's about that.
Yeah. So what type of work did you do during your 20s and 30s, you know, when you were a young man?
Well, I trapped a lot. I got a lot of muskrats and skunks and foxes during the winter. And I used to dig these plants big as your hand. And they call them rundowns. I used to dig 3-4 bushel or more, and I used to go over to Pleasant Lake where the Bravos. And I never had to leave the road. I'd hear him ahead of me come, "Here comes a clam man, here comes a clam man." I sold 50 cents a 10-quart pail.
Hey, how you doing today?
So you pretty much lived off the land then, with trapping and clamming and fishing?
I never worked for very much for the somebody else. And I did work for Charlie Leeds, a carpenter. He had 3 houses the same to build in Brewster Park. And he said, he wanted me to do the plumbing. He said, "I'm going to go work with you. The plumbing on the other 2 houses will be just the same. I expect you to do it." You didn't need a license them days. Well, I did the plumbing on the other 2, and it's come in handy since, because I've had to do some of my plumbing here.
When did you first move to Orleans? What year would that have been?
About 1932. This Kurt Dory used to have a confectionery. Vera worked for him, cooked pies and cakes and stuff.
When did you and Beulah get married?
About 34, I think it was.
So that was after you moved to Orleans.
Yeah, I had a room at Kurt's, but I lots of times stayed home. I had wanted to claim my residence here, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Beulah, she was in the waiters one night, she fell down on her back and she was paddling away there laughing. I remember that.
Yeah, and I went over and pulled her up. He said, "Wait a minute, I'll get over there." I had it pulled up.
I could hear her
He said,
hollering.
"My fishing pole, my fishing pole."
I could hear her hollering all the way across.
I never knew for years, quite a number of years, that she liked to go fishing. Boy, was she serious about it. If you got more than she did, she had a fit.
My God, there wasn't many meters, I tell you.
Boy, I remember
So then the 2 of you must have gone out at night fishing.
Yes, we went at night, and I went in the boat with her and down the cove. I remember one time I caught 8 bass. Before she caught any, I was just about ready to leave the boat, jump overboard or something. So what I done, I put her on the rod on the side next to the banking, and she caught. I don't think I caught any more fish that day.
You let it outfish you too.
Hmm.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
I was fishing there at the mouth of Hemingway's, and
East Ham?
a couple boys with Goose Hummock was there fishing. They hadn't done anything, and I run down through the deep water and 2-3 times, nothing doing. I happened to look over on the bar. The water wasn't any deeper than that. I see a fish break and then dive. So I went way up and I come down, just drifted down through that. First one of us got, I don't know whether she got the first fish or not, but when we're doing that, I usually let that fish on there and don't draw him in. Next thing you know, the other line is tight. And they hollered, "What's the secret? What's the secret?" I says, "The fish ain't over there in that deep water, they're over here on the bar." I said, "When I drift way down, you swing in there and can do the same as I'm doing." I said, "We don't want two boats too close together." Well, they got a few fish, but we come home with 45.
When did you first buy this property here on 6A in the center of Orleans? When did that happen?
The past papers, March the 4th, 39.
And the bait shop wasn't here then. Was this building
No,
here?
this was an open field.
Open field here.
I had a big garden here. Had even potato yams and all.
Were the roads in the center of Orleans in 1939, they were all dirt roads then, right?
No.
They weren't?
Well,
Paved?
I don't remember it, but the Macadamized Road started from Orleans and went up the Cape.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, the Stone Crusher Road, you know where that is. That's where they crushed the stone to make a road.
That's Tonsett Road Extension now.
Yeah.
And some of the old folks call it Stone Crusher.
I remember coming ice storm and they covered the road all over with a glare of ice, and I skated from my home to the school there one morning.
When did you open the bait shop here?
About 1950. I sold a lot of I had a table out front of the house. I used to sell from there. I started first with clams and then quahogs. And finally, how I got into bait business is I found out I could go at night and it wouldn't interfere with my work. And I was afraid if I go in the daytime, I'd neglect my family. Well, I found out that get squid over the traps in Chatham. So I used to go over and get a quarter or half a bucket of squid, what I thought I needed. And Franny's father used to come and Jaime Burr, the old timers are gone now. He used to come to the door and say, "Have you got any extra squid?" I'd give him a half a dozen. And then finally they said, "We ain't coming anymore unless you charge us." I said, "I won't charge you, but I'll put a bowl down." And I said, you can, if you want, but just throw what you want." They started throwing a quarter in there. Before I knew it, I was selling a barrel and a half a day.
So that's how Mac Reed Enterprises got going here then. When you built this building originally, was it for the bait shop or was it a house?
The first part I bought was built from that beam. It's 22 by 28. I started with a fish market, I thought.
In 1950, you started with a fish market here?
I thought, but I got into the bait business. I probably would have done better by selling fish than I would bait. because you turn it over faster. The goose hunting started over in East Brewster about the same. East Orleans about the same time that I started in. And they were selling tackle, and they said, well, why don't you sell bait and we'll sell tackle? Well, I said, that's okay. Well, one day, after they moved down to where they are now, I went in there one day and they had a freezer there full of squid. So they said, well, my customers probably don't like to go way up there after bait. I said no more. I come home and I didn't have that much money to spend them days, so I knew this fella. They had Barker and Chastity man come down. He got him for me. I said, all I want is hooks and sinkers and drop lines and stuff like that to start with. And he says, if you don't like it, pay at the end of the month. I'll take back what you don't sell, and what you sell, you pay me for it. I said, that's good a deal enough.
It's a real good deal.
In less than 2 weeks, I was buying more stuff. And I kept adding to it, adding to it, adding to it. I never went in really in debt at all. I always figured to pay cash.
Did you do a lot of tourist business in the 50s? In the summer? Was there a lot of tourists around here?
Quite a lot when you come down to go fishing. I know lots of times when I got ready to close at night, I was getting ready to go fishing. The last customer to come in, I didn't know him from Adam. I said, how do you like to go fishing with me? Well, I think I'd love to. And I'd take them fishing. I said, the bait and everything is free. You don't have to buy any bait. I made a lot of friends that way.
Oh, you used to do that quite a bit then, just to take somebody with you?
Yeah. Take them at random.
They get a free fishing lesson while they're at it? Free bait?
I used to fish with George Perry. He's dead and gone now. I call him Old Hard Luck. He was fishing down to Sunken Meadow, and the eelgrass, the sage-grass got tangled up with his line and sinker. I see him now, yanking and yanking pretty quick. I see him go right over backwards. And I went over and I says, George, what happened? See, this fishing will be to the death of me yet, he says. The pyramid sinker hit him in the mouth, and his wonder didn't knock his teeth out, but his lips were bleeding.
Well, he didn't hook himself anyway.
No.
He got himself with a sinker.
And I drove down the beach at Nauset Coast Guard towards the inlet one night with him, and I'd caught a couple bass, and all of a sudden he says, I got a big one, I got a big one, and all of a sudden it was crash, and bang. All I could hear him moaning. I says, what happened? Yeah, he got two big skates on, and he broke his rod. Golly, says, I got a lemonwood rod home, a good one, he said. So he went home. I said, take my car and go get it. Well, finally he come back and he started fishing again, and the same thing happened. He broke that one too. Okay. I call him Old Hard Luck. Down in Papert, and right inshore is a cut-through channel, and the bar is so much higher, and I didn't realize the water is so high inshore. Well, I had two fellows that's over around 6 foot or better, and their weight is up much higher than mine by a foot. It felt like Mutt and Jeff to me. And I said, let's have your elbows. So I held my elbows like that. And each one walked me across the channel, and I didn't go over my waders. It'd been laughable, you could seen it.
What's the biggest striped bass you ever caught? Do you remember?
I ain't got nothing to brag. I didn't get a 50-pounder. 44 and a half pounds.
44 and a half.
Yeah. But I did hook onto something one night. I don't know what it was. But I run down the beach much as 700 or 800 feet. That's as fast as I could run. And he stopped. I pumped it, and it just felt just like a feather bed. I wanted to get him moving, you know, so tire him out. He come in close to shore, and it was just a big swirl like that. And all of a sudden, he went out just as slow as that, and then you would swear that I must have cut it with something, because there's no drag on it. You could feel my very light drag I had. So I don't know what that was. It might have been a big shark. It could have been a big bass, because the bass have on their gill plate, have a place where they cut just like a razor. And going straight away from me might got under the gill plate.
Mm-hmm.
My friend I was fishing with, Charlie Fletty, says, "Where the hell did you go?" And I told him.
Went up to North Truro for a little
He says
while.
you was here 1 minute and gone the next. Well, I took my daughter's 12-foot aluminum boat and had an anchor for bow and stern. Well, I went off about in the middle of it and threw the anchor both bow and stern, and I was going to chum. Well, I had a fish on in the anchor rode. I got down and got a hold of that, and when I went back like that, I lost my balance, and I slid on the side of the gunnel like that, and I could hear the water trickling in. Oh, I said. Next thing I know, it turned over.
Mm.
Well, that rear anchor rode come over on my side. I grabbed the anchor rod, and that's the only thing that ever saved me, because it held me up.
You hung right onto the anchor.
I had knee boots on, and she saw me, my daughter saw me turn the boat over, and there was two fellows there in a canoe, and she hollered to them. They come over to me, and they says, "Come on, get in the canoe." I says, "I'll tip the damn canoe over." I would, trying to get in. But it had a bracket for an electric motor. They come up alongside him, and he said, "Give me a hand." And I reached over and grabbed the bracket, and I hung, and then I let go of him and held both hands on the bracket of the canoe. Now it said, "Paddle me ashore." My body hanging down like that is quite a drag, so I started kicking, like body come up along the canoe, and we made better time. Landed on the shore.
No, that was a close one.
It was in late October.
So it was a little chilly too then, huh?
It was in October.
Yeah.
I didn't seem to feel too bad. I wasn't in the water too awful long. The rescue squad come. The rescue squad come there, and they took my clothes all off and wrapped me on a blanket. They says, "How about going to Highness?" I says, "What for?" "Ain't you got any water in your lungs?" I says, "I still got my cap on." I said, "I never got any water in my lungs." So she went home and got some dry clothes and put them on. Well, didn't bother me a bit that way.
That was how many years ago? That was...
5 or 6 probably, I don't know. Time
You were
goes.
about 85 then?
It's in my 80s, I know.
Yeah.
This is 80 shop.
So you're 89. When are you gonna be 90?
September the 8th.
September 8th. Well, I want you to remember to give me an invitation to the party. That'll be a good one. Since your sister is my mother-in-law, Vera, have you got any Vera stories that you can tell me from the old days?
She's pretty clever. All I can remember, she went to work with Kurt Dory for a while. That's where Adele met her.
Oh, she worked there too?
At Kurt Dory's, yeah. She used to make pies there. That's how Dell met her?
Yeah. I knew Dell and his father long before Dell knew my sister.
Oh, yeah? Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over and see Bruce. He's ice fishing over on Pilgrim. Do a little filming over there. So, Mac, thank you very much. That was an interesting conversation, and thank you for letting me come over and go through this stuff. And don't forget, the 90th birthday party, I want an invitation now.
I probably want to have it. You have to find somebody else. Somebody else, probably.
It's September 8th, right? Okay. Good, thank you.
I hope I make it anyway.
Oh, you're going to make it. Just don't fall out any more boats.
My set of keys and drop it all the way down the bottom. Then when I find the bottom, I slide a button down. There's a button right here. Okay, on the line, slide down about an arm's length, 3 feet. It gives me 3 feet off the bottom. That's usually where the fish are feeding, about 2 or 3 feet off the bottom. That's where you let your shiner run around there. You know? And you just sit and you wait again. That's it.
And you eat.
And you freeze, right?
You've been over there eating.
Oh, you guys have been eating?
Yeah, I got my little camp stove.
Oh, that's the way you do it. That's it.
So what happened? You got a bite and the flag pops up?
Yep. Flag pops up when you get a bite. What it does is it just flips off this little piece of metal here.
And it just pops up. That's my oldest trap. That's probably when I was, what, 18?
That's an antique.
That's an antique trap, yeah.
I got some of mine with our cloth tied on them.
Yeah, I got a few of those, even got a flag on it. Oh, there's one right there.
You got mine?
No.
No, that's
no,
ours.
it's mine. It's ours
Oh,
again.
good.
There goes another one. He's just sitting there now. He was moving it for a second, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's over this way.
Can you see Sammy?
No.
Not there?
Nope. He ran. He dropped it. Missed that one. See if he ate the bait. Probably did again. Yep. Took the bait. That's the goner.
Can you see Sammy?
Whoa! See him? Look at the size.
Oh my God, Bruce!
That's a 5 pound, 6 pound bass.
There you go, Thomas. Oh! We were just asking for one. Oh, that's a nice one.
Wow, you've never caught one like that since I've known you.
This baby's coming home, and this is a nice fish. It's a beauty, Katie. We got dinner. Worthwhile coming out here now. Jeez.
Little Uncle Mac, here's this one.
Yeah.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Because here we are talking about getting a big one for you, Cameron. There's one for you. Jeez.
Your hand's cold? Got it on? Put your thumb in the little hole.
That's the way it always works, doesn't it?
Huh? That's about sometimes the way it works. Unless he wants to say it's the old reed trick. Gramps, huh?
Yeah, you got the genes. That's what it is, man.
Yeah. It's all sounded. The button's right there. Boom. In the hole again. Yeah, that's a nice fish. Yeah, all right. Just start it up. Doesn't matter. I think I have enough gas in there.
always change later.
And I heard this was scallops and horseshoes, eh?
Last time I talked with Mac, I said I would see him here in September at his birthday.
You did, huh?
Shallow water.
He wasn't sure he was going to make it. The rest of us were.